Rachel. It's a whole story, and it's a God story. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel Alyse. If you're new here, I'm in front of my window, so hopefully the glare is like not too annoying. So today I want to do like a little story time because I have been wanting to share with you like why I even started all this. And if you watch the podcast episodes, you might be like, well, yeah, Rachel, it's because you found healing in God and you want other people to find it too. Yes, you're right. But even before that, why I even started my social media accounts, why I started my Instagram, why I started my YouTube channel, like it's a whole story and it's a God story, and I am so excited. I wasn't sure where to share it. I thought maybe it would be a podcast episode, but honestly, I think this is a much better place where we get to just sit down and chat for a little bit. Story time. So the end of 2019, it was September, I had gotten baptized for the first time in my life. And I don't know, it's so hard to explain, but honestly, I've just never been the same. And like, I had been developing my relationship with God, and it just got so much more intimate, and I don't know, it's just hard to explain. So yeah, going into 2020, I was just like on this spiritual high. Honestly, that's what it felt like. Was just very confident. I was taking care of myself, taking care of my health, my mental health, doing things for me for the first time in my life, like things that I've always wanted to do, like for example, starting therapy. That's something that I had always wanted to do, but I've never really done because I was scared. I was scared. It was way out of my comfort zone. So yeah, I was just walking into that year, even after like everything shut down. You know what happened, like I was still on this spiritual high. That's like the best way to describe it, with just like in a deep, intimate relationship with God where we would talk every day. Let me tell you a little bit what my relationship with God looks like, because I feel like people hear from him differently and have a different kind of relationship, and that's like beautiful. But when I say hear, I don't mean like, for me, I don't know about anyone else, but for me, it's not like an audible voice where I hear like, Rachel, like no. It's more like a heart tug, like a conviction, where like sometimes the Holy Spirit will just drop something and I'm like, okay, God, I hear you, I see you, And really, for me, that happens when I'm journaling, when I'm writing. I'll start off with like just kind of talking to God, like kind of like writing down my prayer. That's pretty much how I journal. I'm like writing down my prayer, talking to God, and very often he'll just like drop things on me and speak to me while I'm writing. That's what my relationship with God looks like. That's not necessarily what your relationship with God is going to look like. You might hear from him differently, or just feel like a deeper intimacy in a different way, but that's what it looks like for me. So anyways, it was a lot of that, a lot of just communicating with God, being poured into. I was just getting so much motivation and inspiration from him. Meanwhile, the world's shutting down and everyone's freaking out, right? Like the world is shutting down. It's understandable. Like people were not okay. And I just had this peace that didn't make sense. It's that peace in Philippians where Paul talks about like the peace that surpasses understanding. That's what I had. And I was working as a nurse, so I got to see it very like head on what was happening in the hospitals, and I just like, I couldn't explain it. I had this peace. I was just so like inspired and motivated, and I don't remember exactly when, but I remember I started to feel convicted about it. Like God was giving me all this information or this inspiration and motivation that was really sustaining me in a really hard time, and I was just keeping it to myself. And I was starting to feel really convicted, like, girl, you need to share this. It's selfish for you to keep it all to yourself. Like, you need to share it. And so I was like, okay, God, okay, but like, everyone's quarantined, right? We're not going outside. We're not meeting in person. We're not going to church. We're not going to small group or Bible study. So the only way to do that was to go online, right? Because that's where the people were. And I'm just like, God, okay, now I'm gonna pause here because I realize you need some more background information about me. Pretty much, I did not grow up on social media, didn't have an Instagram, a Facebook, a MySpace even. I just didn't grow up with that. And part of that was because I grew up with strict parents, and I knew, I don't even know if I could say I knew, but I just really felt like if they knew I had one of these social media accounts, they would just be like all over it, snooping all up in my business. And I just didn't even want to deal with that. It's not like they even told me like, no, Rachel, you can't have that. Like, I didn't even bother. I just didn't want to deal with it. And honestly, it didn't even interest me. Like, it's just not something, I don't know, it just wasn't enticing. Over the years, I had developed these beliefs about social media. Some I still have, about how, oh my God, that's the cat. About how it was a distraction. Like, I would be with a group of friends, we would all be like, let's say we're at the table, lunch table, whatever, and they're all on their phones. They're all like doing this, and I'm just sitting there like, that scenario would happen a lot. I got to see it from the outside perspective, how people were distracted. Also, like, I don't know, I just didn't care to fit in. Oh my God, the cat. Okay, sorry. So yeah, like, of course in high school I had that desire to fit in, just not in that way. Like, I don't know, I still kind of have this like thing inside of me that just like, I don't want to be cool. I don't want to do what everyone else is doing. Like, I want to be different. That's it. Like, I want to be different. And so it was definitely something that set me apart from other people because, you know, everyone was on Instagram. So yeah, there's probably a lot more to that, and it could dive a lot deeper, but we're just not going to go there. But if I think of something, I'll remember, or I'll share it with you. So basically, I was anti-social media like my entire life. 2020, I was, how old am I now? Oh my God, I was 26, 25. I was 26, right? I was 25. That's a long time. I just like, I got used to not knowing what people were up to. I got used to losing contact with like childhood friends. I got used to being left out of the trends, and like people would quote things and then I would be like, ha, 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 and like not know what they're talking about. I just got used to that. And so when God was telling me to get on Instagram, I was like, what? Are you serious? No, seriously, like, I struggled with it. I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know. And I literally had to consult a friend, Natalie, if you're watching this, but came to the conclusion that, you know, if God is calling me to do this, he's calling me onto social media, onto Instagram specifically at the time, then I will be obedient. And that was so difficult and awkward, and man, it was weird. It was weird because it was just a whole new environment for me. This was now 2 years ago, so April 2020, I, for the first time, made an Instagram account, and it was like a whole new world, for real. And so I went on this journey of just like exploring, like, what are people doing, like what's cute, what's not, like finding aesthetics, stuff like that, just like learning, getting comfortable with sharing pictures of myself. Like that just felt so weird to do, and it was so cringe to me. Like it's still kind of cringe. I've gotten a lot more used to it, but it was just so cringe to me to like share a photo and to like, I was writing, like, I think, did I have my blog already? It's around the same time that I started my blog, so I got used to putting my words out there. Very, very vulnerable for me. The whole experience, just vulnerable. Yeah, it's been a journey. And so now it's like crazy to think about, because I post pictures of myself all the time, video. I had to like learn how to talk on camera just like I'm doing now. Like that was weird. Like it's still weird to hear my voice. Yeah, so it's very much still cringe, because like I don't speak the most eloquently. I know like I stumble over my words and like mesh up words, and then it just like sounds really weird. I still do that a lot, even with like the amount of practice I've gotten up until this point. Yeah, it's just something I had to get over, because it's like, okay, God, if this is really what you're calling me to do, you're asking me to do, I'll be obedient. Not because I want not because I want to. That's why it's called obedience, right? Because it's like you don't really want to, but you're gonna do it anyways. And that's what I did. I was obedient. And yeah, I feel like I'm still getting used to it. And you know, if you've been with me, if you've been watching my videos and possibly cringing with me on this journey, thank you for being here. Like, I appreciate you so much. And so it wasn't until I started my podcast when I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a YouTube channel. And I wasn't even planning on it, honestly. So I had wanted to start a podcast. It was like in my heart, in my mind since 2020. And then 2021 came around and I was like, okay, we're gonna do it. And it was so funny because we literally started recording like in March, I think. March, April, or May, around there. And I didn't start publishing the season. I didn't premiere the season until like October. I was dealing with a lot of fear and doubt. But basically, when during that entire time, me and Devin started dating, and he was a photographer and he wanted to get into videography, and he's like, you should make it a video podcast. And I was like, wasn't planning on it, but if you're gonna help me, like, why not? I would love to do that. Still to this day, Devin is helping me edit and produce my video content, and so grateful for him. And yeah, that's how this channel came to be. So yeah, we started with sharing the video podcast. Then I gave a message at my church's young adult, and so we shared that on here. And then it was just like, why not do vlogs? Like, why not like sit down and just have like these conversations? And it kind of, I don't know, it just feels right to me, because Instagram, I don't know, in my opinion, like, tell me how you feel, but like Instagram's just not the place for like long video content. Like, it's not even capable. You can only make, at least for reels, only like a minute long. I don't know, just like on my stories, I just feel weird like sharing like 30 stories of just me talking, because like even me like consuming other people's or watching other people's stories, like it gets tiring, and I get like I'm just not there for long content. I'm there to like tap, swipe, you know? Anyways, but I do enjoy long video content. I like watching vlogs. I like watching these kind of things. And so it just feels like a much better place to do this kind of thing. So, man, thanks for sitting with me. One last thing I wanted to share, because before I even made my Instagram account, I wrote in my notes, some social media rules or boundaries that I had, and I wanted to share it. I knew I did this, and so right before I started recording, I looked into my notes, and it was like one of my earliest notes that I have ever done. Yeah, I wanted to share these because honestly, they're pretty good. So, okay. So these are my boundaries / rules for social media. So number 1, don't compare yourself. Don't compare yourself. Yeah, I feel like that's one we all struggle with, and obviously I knew what I was coming into, at least a little bit, and I knew that I would see other people's lives and these curated photos really, and that would possibly be a threat to my mental health. I don't know if I've really struggled with comparison, at least when it comes to body image, but I have struggled with comparison when, for example, like this was, I think I mentioned it in a podcast episode sometime last year. Like I was just seeing a lot of engagements, and I wanted to be engaged. I thought I would be in that kind of relationship where we just like get engaged within a year, and you know, that didn't happen. And like I totally understand why, which we'll talk about that probably like years we'll talk about that, but that's what I was struggling with. Like dang, like that's where I wanted to be. And so yeah, I struggle mostly when it comes to like life stages. Like man, like I thought I would have been married, I thought I would have had kids by now. Like people, I'm turning 29 this year. Like I'm not where I thought I would be, and like that's totally okay. So I totally understand why God has me where I am now. It's such a beautiful, beautiful place, and I love this story that God is telling with my life, and so really there's no need to compare. But anyways, I was about to like go down a whole rabbit hole just on that one point, but okay, that was my first rule. Second rule is do not distract others with your body. Don't be the kind of person you have been fighting to be. So I'm like, let me break this down just a little bit. One of my personal convictions is to live modestly and not distract other people, men, women, with my body, with my appearance. And that really started because I'm a worship leader, and so at church I am on a platform, and I don't want to be wearing clothes that might distract someone from this time that they're supposed to be spending with God, and supposed to be, you know, that's dedicated to God, their personal worship, and they're supposed to be having a moment with God. Like I don't want to be a distraction. That's what I was taught, and that is one of my personal convictions. And so I do my best to dress modestly, especially when in front of people on camera. I get it. I love to feel cute in like a little black dress and my heels, and like there's nothing wrong with those kind of pictures, but obviously poses and positions make a difference, and your intentions with that. Like, are you intentionally putting this out there because you know you look good and you're showing off your body and you want people to look at your body? That's between you and God. I'm just talking to you about my personal convictions. I don't ever want to be a distraction to my brother and sister in Christ. Okay, so third point, don't get distracted. Don't waste your time. Honestly, this one I could work on. Like even before I had social media, I was struggling with like waking up and the first thing I do would look at my phone, and I would like go through my emails. I don't even remember what I would do before that, before social media, but it's a distraction. Like I totally get it. Like I'm definitely addicted Devin has to like point it out to me, like he notices that sometimes I get like lost, where like I'll open my phone and I didn't close my Instagram, so it's Instagram's just there, and then I get distracted and I'm like, wait, like what did I even open my phone for? Yeah, okay, I could work on this one for sure. Number 4, remember your purpose. I just love this one. And you know, because obviously for my journey, my purpose on getting on social media was to help other people, was to point other people to Jesus and help people discover healing through him. That's my purpose. And you know, maybe you started your accounts and you didn't really have a purpose. That's okay. I'm not saying everybody needs to use social media and their platforms with like this big purpose of like, either maybe you're like me and you want to like talk about Jesus, or you want to like turn it into something, be a content creator, maybe it's for business. I don't know. I'm not saying that's necessary for everyone, because I don't know what you're doing in life, and I don't know like if that's even necessary. But if it is, remember your purpose. If you're also here because you want to tell people about Jesus and share the gospel, remember your purpose. That's it. That's pretty much it. That's my story. Definitely a God story, because I didn't want to. I didn't want to do this. Just being real with you, I didn't want to start this channel, but here we are. And honestly, I am thoroughly enjoying it. I love doing this now. I love creating content. I love making these videos. I'm trying to learn how to love editing. I'm honestly still learning that part of it, but yeah, it's been a journey, and honestly, like, I'm just getting started. Okay. Thank you for sticking around and watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate you so much for going on this journey with me and listening to me share my stories. I truly appreciate it. If there's anything else that you would like to hear, if you have any questions for me, then go ahead, drop them in the comments. I would love to answer them. And all right, guys, see you next time.